I want us to pay attention, or I suggest we pay attention to what's happening to us as we're listening to music, to this kind of music. It centers me. It opens my heart. My mind goes into this state where it's no longer distracted. I'm living in peace, and I'm falling a little bit deeper in love. And we're doing it all together. Throughout today, every time you come to this center, every time we're together, pay attention to what's happening in us, in you right now. Because the celebration is going on in the conversation you are experiencing with your source. There are words coming from the stage, there's music coming from the stage, but there's other information happening. Oh, it's so wonderful to have this music to begin with, because lately I'm noticing more and more in my life how distracted I can be. There are so many things going on. I don't know if it's a new level of distraction, but I'm certainly very aware that it's here. There's just so many new ways of being aware, so many new connections, second by second input of information. You know what's happening. Our consciousness, our minds are being expanded in so many ways, just by the technology, by the new sense of connection between us. My mind is now able to be in so many places at once that it's really hard to know where I am. But I think today's topic points to one of the major ways we can return to ourselves. We can be freed from distraction. Return to putting our attention on what we really want to put our attention on. And at the same time, in that activity, begin to experience a whole new level of our being. Let me explain. Today's topic is I Forgive Life. And we've been talking about forgiveness all month. You know, Reverend Edward has explained so brilliantly, so beautifully, so tenderly the power of forgiveness. It's never put before you as something you have to do. It's put before you as an opportunity, as a process that frees you, as a process that relieves the burdens that you've been carrying, allows you to live in a world where you're no longer projecting onto others so much that confines you. But today's topic takes us to another level. What if, in a situation, there is no way, no resolution, no foreseeable coming to peace with it? When a bomb goes off in Boston or in Texas, there's an explosion. And even though perhaps we'll find out and correct and people will realize what's going on and there'll be new level of awareness, that won't really make a difference. Because it won't stop it from happening again. Somewhere, sometime, with somebody. And this feeling forces the real question we're facing to surface. Because ultimately, the real question is not forgiving someone else or forgiving each other. It's forgiving life itself. Reverend Edward put it this way in this month's booklet on forgiveness. Often it is the case, he writes, that students of spirituality may sincerely practice forgiving people in their lives and find great benefit in doing so, yet they discover there remains some area of blocked emotional energy focused not on a person, but on something difficult to identify. Some identify that block as a general feeling of upset or resentment towards life itself. Some have a specific experience or encounter that has less to do with an individual person's activities than it has to do with the way things are. In such cases, it is helpful to practice forgiveness work on life. We have to do this work with life, because until we do, forgiveness in all its aspects will still seem to mean that we must learn to accept a miserable state of affairs. To be at peace with the way things are can seem to mean that a life, we have to learn to live a life that continually recreates misery. And even if you believe there's a God, and that God is a benevolent shepherd or a force that protects you and comforts his people, and another bomb goes off, then you have your sense of protection pulled out from under you, and we fall into a well of hopelessness, wondering when it will ever end. In this state, we are indeed trapped. Our attention is fixed. We can't turn it anywhere else. It's fixed on the tragedy, the misfortune. And while that's going on, we can't see anything else that might be happening. If something else was going on, we wouldn't notice it. Even if God were to walk through the room, we wouldn't notice it. Because we're focused on plans of getting even or getting away. And meanwhile, life continues on. As John Lennon sang, life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. So if I want to escape from this trap, it requires me to really look at what I believe about the way things are. It forces me to look again at what these ideas are that keep on tripping me up and sending me back to that well and trapping me. I need to find out what I really believe about life, what I really believe about God, how things really operate, the way things really are. So this is the first step of forgiveness, a forgiving life, is to get clear about what you're actually forgiving. The first exercise in the forgiveness booklet that I mentioned is to write out your definition of life and God as if you were going to present it to a high school class. Take care to present what it is you know and think and understand. Look at it carefully so that you'll be able to communicate it clearly. And in doing so, you'll get clear. My Buddhist teacher, Suzuki Roshi, used to speak of a spring cleaning of the mind. He said, you need to take out your ideas, dust them off, throw away any that are extra, put back the ones you want, but don't keep anything that's added on, no longer needed. We need to renovate our definitions of life, of God, of reality. We've got to get rid of anthropomorphism, where we're ascribing a human nature to the divine, like God is a man with a white beard in the sky, or that God has a personality, like God's really angry, and it's going to come soon and get things straightened out. Or that God has preferences. God loves some people and will love you too when you get it together. Or perhaps, there are cultural messages about the divine. They go like this: life, God, requires you to really work hard, or you're not really doing what needs to be done, and you need to be prosperous and productive. And if you're not, how about religion? God lives in a church. God lives in this center. God lives in this spiritual practice. God lives, you fill in the blank. What's left after we throw all these things out? Something that defies definition. Taoism says something like, the name is not the name. It's pointing to what this reality, what God, what life really is. In this teaching, we speak of reality as one being, a being with one heart, one mind. And this is what we mean when we say the word God. One being that includes all being. Nothing's left out. This is what we mean when we say the word life. One being that includes all beings. This is what we mean when we speak of reality. One being that includes all being, everything that's happening. God's a verb. It's everything that it is, happening all at once, eternally. You can't name it. It's forever new. There is no name that could contain it. There is no description that can contain it. We can't define it. So we have to drop our definitions, and what we have to do is begin to find out what it is. The only way we can find out what it is to reach out, to touch it, ask questions of it, see how it responds. We get in contact with the nature of being, God, life, reality, by looking for its response, by listening to its response. We give our attention to what it does, what happens when we really look at it. We let life, God itself, show us what it is. And we no longer rely on our definitions. We need to turn our attention to this one in order to know what it is. And I'd like to suggest some of the ways that you can begin to actively do this. I was struck by something Reverend Edwards said in a previous talk this month when he was talking about, he'd asked people, what would you say to people who are trying to forgive? How would you help them? And one suggestion was this, it really stayed with me. It's to tell them not to focus on trying to forgive, not to try to forgive yourself or try to help others to forgive, but turn your attention to what you can love. Find out right now where in your life you naturally love and activate that. Put your attention there. Energize that. In the situation in Boston, put your attention on the helpers, on the victims. Put your attention where you can find yourself freely responding with love. Just engage in exercising love wherever you can, because then you're activating your being. You're no longer trying to change it, but you're putting it into full operation, because loving is what we all desire most deeply. It's all we really desire. We desire to be loved. And we desire to be loving whenever we can. And we desire to know that, to feel it, to live it. It's exactly what the affirmation we read today states. I desire to be loved, therefore I allow myself to love greatly. I feel warmly inclined toward people. I give as I wish to receive. Simply put, energize love in your life. Don't try to force yourself to forgive life. Don't do something you don't want to do and you don't even know how to do. Let love through. Let it clear the way. Let it show you who you are, what's going on. Start the circulation of love by looking for where you can freely give it. And as I've been saying, at the same time, stop sending your energy into something you just don't know how to do. Forgiving life, forgiving God. And especially, don't try to do anything you think you have to do because you don't have a clue what's going on and what needs to be done. A teacher of the Course in Miracles wrote about it this way. He said, "Get up in the morning saying, 'I don't know what anything means.' I think I know what it means. I thought I knew what it means, but I am willing to make the assumption that I don't know what anything actually really means because I'm quite positive that I'm not awake yet. And therefore, there is more here for me to see. And so today, I am going to dedicate myself to the best of my ability in every single situation to be looking for the more of what is going on than what I'm seeing. I'm going to stop defending my confidences in what I think everything is." And then he gives us this instruction. All you have to do is neglect to reinforce what you believe. You should write that down, he says. All you have to do is neglect to reinforce what you believe. We keep thinking we have to change ourselves. We keep thinking that we have to be a different person that we aren't yet. But the point is we have to stop building up another person that we aren't. The walls come with the definitions. They say what you can do, what you can't do, what can happen, what can't happen. We don't know. Mark Twain really understood the power of this instruction when he said, "It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so." Isn't that right? You're so sure. I'm so sure it's this way. This is what can happen. So, neglect to reinforce what you believe. Start energizing the love in you. Find places to love. Allow yourself to love. There's a place in everyone's life where you naturally love freely. Put your attention there. Spend your time there. Dwell there. And finally, recently I met a wonderful man, a practicing brahmachari in the tradition of Sri Aurobindo, a Hindu teacher. And he spoke of his practice as having two aspects. The first you'll recognize, he said, it's developing the witnessing consciousness. It's that consciousness that comes when you're not reinforcing your beliefs. The consciousness that doesn't apply or rely on definitions or beliefs. It just looks at what is. Those of you who know Vipassana and the Buddhist tradition know that that's what this is. But he has a second part of his practice, and it profoundly impressed me. The second was to simultaneously, while he's doing the witness consciousness, pay attention to his heart. Because, as he told me, the heart is the home of the divine. And he's continually asking his heart what it is wanting to bring forth here. What it is wanting to happen in this moment, in this situation, in this activity. We are to learn to listen with a real passion to know what the heart knows, with a real curiosity to discover what it is knowing that we have not been paying attention to. We have to listen like the musicians do as they're playing or as they compose. You can see there's something they're listening to, some inner music. They're listening to something larger than themselves. They've trained themselves to listen. They express what they hear. It appears as an impulse, as a possibility in their mind, as a harmony. And it emerges, and new possibilities suggest themselves, new sounds appear. They're listening to something larger. They're listening to music. And music, this larger realm, feeds them. And it requires them for its expression. You know, the same is true with artists as they paint. Each brushstroke brings in a new perspective, a new way of seeing what's already been done, a new possibility, a new glimpse within. Emma Curtis Hopkins, one of the teachers who will be studied in that course that you heard the announcement for, Roots of Science of Mind. One of the great teachers of our tradition, she said, anybody who does this practice must be a musician of some kind. She's talking about this. We often say in this teaching that you are a center in the mind of God. You are at the center of the only mind there is. And you know, sometimes that's a little hard to understand the implications of that, but suddenly, in mind, there's something that has appeared that tells us more. And it's the internet. I like to think of the one mind as like the internet because, you know, all knowledge is there, or at least an awful lot of knowledge is there, right? But you have to put a question to it. You have to ask it to find out what's there. You have to tell it what you want to know. We're all becoming experts in this new activity called Googling, right? And when you get your response, you're going to receive information you didn't expect. And that new information can transform your question or take you off to new places you didn't expect to go. That's what listening to God is like. Listening to the responses to our questions, to our attention, which inform us in ways that we had no idea were possible. We also say that God is a center that has no circumference. That means really that God is always at the center of its being, and there's no end to the circle that it is. There's no outer edge. If you think about it, it's true of us too. Because anybody who gets onto the internet, who has the instruments and has the ability, the knowledge of how to get onto the internet, if you think about it, everybody in the internet is at the exact center of it. There's nobody who's closer to some information over here or some information over there. Once you're in the internet, it's all available to you equally. That's what it's like being the center in the mind of God. All that is known in the mind of God is available to you immediately, completely. You find what you need to know. It's immediately available to you and to everyone else at the same time. This is what we're in touch with as we listen to the God that dwells in our hearts. Because our hearts are in touch with that one mind, that one knowing, that one knower. To listen to your heart is to listen to the center in all being, the center that lives in every being. To listen to your heart is to live in curiosity about what it's bringing forth, looking to see beyond where your attention has been focused, to go into new directions, see new possibilities where your attention has been trapped. And when you listen to your heart, you'll find that love is all your heart wants. It is the only thing your heart sees, recognizes, acts on. And then you begin to realize what we mean when we say that love is the only power. And you will recognize that you are its instrument, that it depends on you for its expression. And you'll see what I meant in the beginning when I said that forgiving life opens up a whole new level of your being, a whole new level of your loving. This is what forgiving life is all about. If you'll join me in prayer. Right now, everyone in this room is experiencing the activity of attention. Each one's attention is actively knowing in this moment. This attention is an activity of the one mind itself, because the one mind itself is the only one who knows, and it lives in each one here. This attention is the activity of God itself, the movement of the heart, the movement of the mind. And it only knows what is real. It only knows everything. It cannot know partially. It knows the truth, the wholeness, the completeness of everything that it knows. So it knows everyone and everything as whole, as complete, lacking nothing, completely, fully given, activating all that it is. That's how this mind sees and knows each one here.
So sacred, so secret, so precious is love. So sacred, so secret, so precious is love.
And in this sacred, secret place that lives within each one here, I know that right now everything is being given for each one to know the truth of their being, the truth that they are only and all love. Each person here is now in touch with who they truly are. And in allowing themselves to turn their attention to this knowing, everything else drops away. No longer has any power to obscure or distract, to trap. for each one here is knowing their true being, feeling it, allowing it, feeling what love really is, this complete giving of oneself, this complete giving of oneself in every moment to what is being known and felt.
I will share. 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 I will share this love.
In this awareness, my heart opens. It feels the joy of being in this world of the heart, this world that feels and knows and touches everything with love, with the desire for its well-being, for its joy. This is my natural home. This is who we are and where we live.
So sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. So sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. I will share. 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 I will share this love. This love. This love.
Feeling what is happening, I just allow it to continue. For I know that this is the activity that we have called God life, fully expressed, fully felt, and it carries all that we are along with it, so we can just let it be what it is, allow it to be. Let ourselves be known in it, moved by it. And we just affirm that this is what's going on, that this is how it is, that this is the way things are, by saying, and so it is. Allow your next exhalation to be longer than before, perhaps sighing, but letting out so that you can receive more as you breathe in. And as you breathe, begin to return to this room, to this place, this time. And remembering that love is a giving and a receiving, that you can't do just one. That the life, the energy that we live is continually in circulation. We understand that right now the activity we're engaged in is the circulation of the energy of life itself. And so we offer that energy now.
so sacred, so secret, so precious, this love, so sacred, so secret.